His actual charges were what they would have been back then, not on what they would be considered now.
I can't believe that he was sentenced to a maximum of 10 years. Like, that seems too light of such a horrible, horrific thing that he did do to so many young girls.
They had to sentence him on what he would have gotten if we'd gone to court back in the day, because now they acknowledge, like back then it was just, oh, that's just, part of society. People accepted it. And at some point, people actually realised how it could affect your entire life, as we're seeing now with the Royal Commission. People years later are still affected. And so at some point they went through and they redid all the sentencing. But because he did it back in the day, they had to sentence him on what the charges would have been. And also his actual charges were what they would have been back then, not on what they would be considered now.
Oh, that's disgraceful. It should be like, too bad, so sad. This is what the sentence is right now.
I would love a judge to give that as a verdict.
You want me to go judge it? I will. Too bad, so sad. I don't care.
That's your
Go
sentence,
away.
Your Honour. I have been on jury duty
It's fun, isn't it?
for a case similar to yours.
Wow.
And one of the things I found was when they call the jurors' names up, and you're allowed to, say if you have any prejudice or something that would make you exempt because you'll have a biased opinion. There's a guy who stood up and said, I am a school teacher, a primary school teacher, and I think, therefore, my opinion would be swayed in this case. And the judge pretty much said, look, I will excuse you, but tore strips off this guy, saying none of us want to hear these kind of details. None of us want to deal with this type of issue, but it's your duty and your right to do the right thing and put someone like this away. You have to hear the horrendous details on the way. Now, that was something that was a very human thing. Of course, if you could wave the magic wand, would anyone want to be there and hear those stories? No. But the outcome is for the greater good. Do you feel that when you were going through this at the time, that there were people who did know what was going on and didn't want to face it for that reason?
Absolutely. Well, and, even during the media stuff when it first came out, there was other people who went on TV and said, maybe I misinterpreted the situation, or that, I didn't understand. And these were people who definitely knew, because there'd been discussions back in the day, but they just didn't want to acknowledge it or had gotten bad advice. But yeah, but we had a really good jury though, because instead of just saying, and there was 5 of us and they had to go on all of those, and they actually deliberated the one day and said, we think guilty, guilty, guilty. And they couldn't decide on me and one other girl, and they came back the next day and they said, we'd like more of the evidence and we'd like to go through the paperwork again. And they were very meticulous, one at a time on each charge, because there was 12 charges. And they were great. There was a hung jury on the one girl, and then with me, it wasn't till the next day that they came back and said, yes, guilty. Mm-hmm. So, and people think, well, they just thought, it was one, and it wasn't. They were very, very meticulous, and they did a good job.